Welcome to the Pop Culture Cosmos.
And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for joining us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Don't forget my other shows, Lakers Latest, Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, The State of Pro Wrestling, and more. If you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. And a big shout out to the radio stations that have covered our show for so many years. In fact, 10 years next week. The celebration begins next week. 10 years of the Pop Culture Cosmos. We're loving it because 10 years of Josh and I, when we started this so long ago and had no clue we would be doing this 10 years later indeed. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without a good man indeed. Please go ahead and make sure you support him today at the Happy Hoarder, the Plucky Gamer, Humanican Media, and more. So go ahead and make sure you are part of everything he does, starting with the Happy Hoarder. Buy everything on that list.
Everything.
Everything. Yes, right there. Help the man out. Help her brother out. It is, of course, my good friend. It is Josh the Great Peterson. What's up, man?
What is up? It's Monday, man. It's Monday. You know, I was talking to my wife this morning about,
We're school day for many, though.
I know. So I was talking to my wife about that. I'm like, it's weird. Like, I can't tell if like on a federal level they added more like school days or if things just got shifted. But it's like I remember being in school and school got out specifically like June 6th to like June 16th, somewhere in that date range, right? And then you went back to school September 6th to September 10th, somewhere in that date range.
Actually, it was a little later for me, right in the mid-seps, like 15 or so.
15, yeah, that might be right. But it's like now it feels so wrong to go back to school in the middle of August, like, and I know this has been happening for a while, and maybe I'm just now like the gears are finally clicking there, but it's like it's just such a weird thing.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm just like, I still have to get used to it because this is even newer for Vegas. They as far as what they did, just the times, things about nature, and but my daughters are like, yeah, Dad, you remember we do this around this time every year, and I'm just like, wow, I can't, I can't get used to it. I cannot wrap my head around it either. It is such super strangeness to me. So I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think too that like we're what 2 months away from the holidays starting. Like what August, September, October. Like I think October is like the official kickoff of the holidays for me because I love Halloween. But like, dang man, like time really does fly. It's kind of crazy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it does indeed. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I didn't tell you over the weekend. One of the things I did do was I visited here in Las Vegas the Punk Rock Museum, the Museum of Punk Rock, and
Okay.
it's crazy because you go there, well, my daughter had to go there for her summer school. She has a class with UNLV that she takes. She's trying to pick up some liberal arts credit on the side and finish that out. And one of her final projects was to go to the Museum of Punk Rock. And she says, well, Dad, I can't find any other sucker to go with. So since you are from that era,
That's it.
that's it. Can you go with me? And I said, sure, why not? So we go. And it's actually curated very well. And I had just a uh, basic outline of what I understood and remembered from the punk rock era, from the 80s, from the time I was a teenager. But the way it delved with bands from that era who were just hardcore punk, who never branched out or never evolved into out to also mixing it in with bands that you would know of, like the Green Days, as far as Suicidal Tendencies,
Yep.
other bands that have really crossed over, Blink 182, other bands like that that had measures of punk in them. Nirvana. You got the chance to sit on Kurt Cobain's couch that he sat on in the recording studio that they have there. But The thing is, what I like the most is the fact that they have curated tours on times by celebrities within the punk rock era.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like let's say if you were part of a band from the '80s, they might have one of your band members there giving you a guided tour, and
Yeah.
that I thought was a great feature. What's up, Craig? How you doing, my friend? Great, good morning to you. Football and basketball for me, yeah. um, I will say again that the Museum of Punk Rock, if you are part of that era and have an affinity for it, it's 2 levels full of great stuff. And in fact, they even have a sound room with some used guitars from bands throughout the punk era that you can try. They can actually hook it up to amps from that era, Josh. It's used by bands from that era, guitars from that era, like Joan Jett. If you want to use a Joan Jett actual practice and play guitar played by Joan Jett, then you can go ahead and do so. They have an area for about 12, 13 guitars that they had there, which you can try out, which is really just kind of, in fact, the way they integrated was really just something cool to see. So again, if you are from that era of punk rock, if you're interested in punk rock, it's not in the greatest area, which typical, but it is fenced in where it's at. But yeah, it's a huge story area, and it's got a bar if you want to go ahead and relax and have a drink halfway through your trip there. But yeah, I highly recommend it. It's the Museum of Punk Rock. It is actually curated extremely well. Uh, a lot of stuff being preserved for historical purposes. Yeah, and I really had a good time. Surprisingly, had a good time with my daughter, and I was able. So much of the my basic knowledge or basic understanding, and basic appreciation for punk rock came back. How it came back from the DKs to the Misfits to to the groups of that era. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that. And I was telling her, and she loved it because she could understand exactly which bands were part of that era, which
Yeah.
bands evolved out of it, which bands were able Devo, and others, for instance, there was a little sampling of stuff from them as well. So yeah, just basically a really good time. And if you're interested at all in that era as far as punk rock is concerned, leading into the Vans Warp Tours, which I'm sure you are familiar with
Oh, heck yeah, man.
for you skaters out there. So if you loved your skateboarding, yeah, absolutely to connect yourself with that. But yeah, if you have any thoughts or if you want to see memorabilia from those eras, please stomp on by the Museum of Punk Rock. And that's my pitch, man. It's actually a very surprisingly good time. It's a well curated place. It's a well kept up place. It's super nice. It is not what you would have expected out of a punk rock museum. You expect like disaster when you walked in.
There's beer cans everywhere, and
Yeah.
some guy passed out on the floor.
Yes, met people doing mosh pits and things of that nature, and just like you getting slammed with a shoulder right as you walk in, and they have the Clash, that a lot of stuff from there, Sex Pistols,
Mhm.
as far as it's concerned, a lot of stuff, memorabilia from those eras as well. So yeah, people kind of try to pass off the punk rock era and punk rock there, but their influence on who evolved into that later on, as far as the groups that evolved out of it, cannot be denied. But yeah,
Oh,
just really a great
absolutely,
time.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite genre, like the post-hardcore movement, man, came out of a mixture of punk rock and the, copying what, Pete Townsend did with his screams in The Who, man. Like, that's where a lot of the post-hardcore screamo stuff came from. But, yeah, it definitely had its influences. When you were when you were visiting Seattle, did you get a chance to stop by the Pop Culture Museum?
Yeah, I thought I told you. Yeah, it came on the show and I said it did. Yeah, I got
Oh,
a outstanding my Bruce Lee shirt. I wear sometimes. I wear a Bruce Lee shirt. I got from there. I specifically got from there. I yeah, I know you probably, because that's like 5,000 conversations ago. But yeah, I think I went on here on the air. I think I sent you pictures I think that's
That's
when you
right.
picked.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
I
because
might be.
it was just after COVID. It's still
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
and but yeah, it's I went there, the Space Needle, whatnot. But yeah, the Museum of Pop Culture is absolutely fantastic as well, as far as the stuff that they keep throwing in, throwing out. They keep bringing stuff in, bringing stuff out that I've been told is really fantastic every time they update it. But yeah, just I highly recommend that as well. That was just a blast to be at the
Yes, yeah,
Museum of
because
Pop Culture in Seattle.
they had a cool music section there too. I think they were doing the Pearl Jam exhibit when we were there, and that was pretty neat.
Yeah, absolutely, do. They have a ton of exhibits based off of music, TV, films. Yeah, absolutely. Anything you can imagine there. So, man, the Museum of Pop Culture, I'll tell you what, that was definitely rewarding indeed. But yeah, just I didn't know going to the museum would be so fun after going to those two places. I
Yeah,
just never thought
yeah,
it'd be that
yeah.
fun. Yeah, but
It's
hey,
just gotta appeal to your sense of nerdiness, whatever
yeah,
that is.
and a surprising place to go for pop culture, the Smithsonian. Absolutely
Mm,
huge place. I went back in the 90s, but it's still absolutely huge. Huge parts of it are dedicated to stuff, including pop culture. So, yeah, go ahead and check it out when you get a chance, as far as those great avenues of pop culture, indeed. But Josh, a lot to talk about on today's show. Obviously, we start off with what happened in the second weekend because you and I, we're how many times have we reported on a Monday after a huge Marvel successful weekend for a Marvel movie that the second weekend was a crash of about high 60s into the 70s on occasion. We've done that a lot, right? So with that said, wouldn't be surprised what the numbers would be, but it looks like estimated. Because on Monday we usually only get the estimated numbers. Probably be about 59 to 60% as far as from last weekend's big hit numbers that we reported on, but $145 million domestically. Spider-Man Brand New Day is an estimated 1.665 million, or excuse me, billion dollars. $1.665 billion. So it's getting there to 2 billion, and it'll probably be there by the end of next week, would be my guess. Your thoughts? It looks like it's the third biggest second weekend ever, so it's not keeping up after the first biggest weekend, the first biggest week in domestic history. It slowed down a little bit, but I want to know where you think that train will stop when it comes to Spider-Man Brand New Day. Plus, your thoughts on the movie as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna predict it, man. 2.4 billion. That's where I think it's gonna start to slow down a little bit. Because I mean, look at this. We crossed a billion weekend one, right?
Mhm.
And then we are sitting at about 1.6 billion after weekend two. I think, and this movie still got legs, man. It's gonna carry on for at least another couple of weeks. So I'm predicting 2.4 billion is where it's gonna maybe not stop, but it's gonna start to like momentum's going to slow, you know?
I think that's a good estimation. I have it just going for just before maybe 2.3, but I think 2.4 is a really good estimation before it stops. I think it'll stop around. I think it'll stop around 2.5, 2.6 billion. So I think Avatar is going to be safe, and Avengers Endgame are going to be safe right to where they're at. But I think it's going to just fall just below of those marks too as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's dude, it's been exciting to see this, like I'll check Box Office Mojo a couple times a week just to see like where it's landed. And man, this movie's got some power behind it, man.
Absolutely. It's gone over $1 billion internationally at the box office and has been a tremendous success here as well at the domestic box office. I think this is even a surprise for a lot of people out there of how well this is done. Even though obviously the barometer was high, I think it has exceeded that. Give shout out to the Odyssey also as well for going over $1.1 billion. It is number two for the year at the
Oh, I
box
didn't even
office.
notice that. Jeez, that's weird. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Dang,
So
man.
that finished. That is now $1.1 billion, and it still hasn't appeared in China. It's going to do that, I believe, later this week. So, and that China has a lot of IMAX screens as well. So look out for that. And the fact is that IMAX screen, it's got a steady stream of revenue because of all the IMAX screens that are sold out till October in some
Yeah.
cases. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. And Craig's right. The people going back to school, so the numbers are going to go down a little bit, especially for a movie like Spider-Man: Brand New Day.
Yeah.
So how far it goes down, we'll have to wait and see. I think internationally, since they don't have the same schedules as we do, I think it'll stay strong. But domestically, I think Craig is right. It's going to soften up quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it always does, man. It's pretty typical. That's why movies like, you either want to put a movie out during the Christmas break or you want to put it out during summer break, man, because that's when people are going to the movies.
So, what are your thoughts on Spider-Man: Brand New Day, my friend? What are your thoughts as far as how the movie is, how it generated with you? Again, a lot of people really are loving it as far as Spider-Man: Brand New Day. I have said I don't want to go ahead and tell you where I think it is generally. If you guys go ahead again, on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, I have my official list 1 to 30, whatever. I have all the official MCU postings, including the Spider-Mans, as far as the Tom Holland Spider-Man's part of it, as far as ranked. And this for me was the second highest Spider-Man for me behind Spider-Man Homecoming. Again, I won't tell you exactly where it's at. I'll have to go read the article yourself. But Josh, my friend, what did you think of Spider-Man: Brand New Day? TJ loved it. He's seen it twice. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a very strong movie. I thought it had a lot to do and accomplished most of what it set out to do. Your thoughts on Spider-Man: Brand New Day?
I liked it, man. I mean, it's not my definitely not in the top spot there. I think No Way Home will always be like, one of my favorites because the stakes were so high in that movie. And you got to see a lot of character development happen. But I think this is probably my second favorite Spider-Man movie. It matured. Everybody in the movie matured from their last appearances, and it dealt with with loneliness. I think that was a really cool like theme to kind of tackle in there. But yeah, it was definitely, like I said, it was definitely a lot more grounded, and they made sure to like hammer that point home with the conversations with Black Widow, right, when she's talking about big potatoes versus small potatoes.
Yes.
we got to kind of see the side of Peter Parker that he's known for, right? This is what makes him the everyman's hero, is the fact that they humanized him. Like he's like all of us. Like how do we balance all these things? How do we how do we deal with the weight of our responsibilities and still being in contact with the people outside of our immediate bubble? So I thought that was really cool. I think the dynamic with having Frank Castle in there was like, at first I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, but man, they pulled it off. Like I loved that dynamic between the Punisher and Spider-Man. Like that
One of the
was
best parts. One of the best parts.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've been loving seeing those memes come up, and it shows all the actors that have played Spider-Man, and it has Frank Castle's on the bottom corner of it from his wearing the mask in the hospital room.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, really good as far as you draw it. So what do you think it really connected for you with Spider-Man: Brand New Day?
I mean, to me, like it kind of put out there like everything that like I love about Spider-Man, just the fact that he's dealing with very, very human issues. Like everything up till this point has been very super, right? Like you had his dealings with Iron Man, he's learning how to become a superhero, but they didn't really have the elements in there of like the typical Spider-Man story where he's having to juggle all these very human things: loneliness, love, longing to just fit in with people. Like that's what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. And in this movie, they really tackled that hard. Like they brought everything from like, say, pieces of like the 90s Spider-Man cartoon stuff from the Ultimate Spider-Man. They brought all that together and they created this experience that was like, wow, this is the Spider-Man that I know and love, and like I don't know where it's going to go from here. I don't know I know Kevin Feige said Tom Holland and Zendaya are going to come back, and they never like finished that arc with Zendaya, like what MJ, sorry, what happens between MJ and Peter. Like, I know in the movie she said, like, I'm not that girl, like, I don't love you. And you're like, oh man, you feel your heart like getting ripped out of your chest. And but you don't know what they never went back to it. Like, the movie ended with, I was expecting the movie to end with like some sort of connection between him and MJ, but it just ended with that like handshake between him and Ned. And you're like, all right, well, maybe we'll get some closure on that storyline at some point. But
spoilers, by the way.
Oh, sorry guys, sorry. Yeah. But I will tell you though that's see, Craig says, I saw Spider-Man last Tuesday. I thought it was good. Showed more emotions of Tom Holland. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. Best looking on film, working through problems post-credit was a joke. Okay, yes, that's what I want to talk about next, right? Because this was like the weakest post-credit scene I've ever seen in my life.
No, I'd say last year's Captain America Brave New World, which seemed like it was filmed like the week before they came out, and both of them were not even near each other. Tim Blake Nelson and Anthony Mackie were not even in the same room when it looked so bad, that one. But you're right, this one's not. This is a great one.
I have still never seen Captain America. Dude, I feel like I've missed several Marvel movies. Will Doomsday beat out Spider-Man? It's hard to say. It really is.
My guess is no. My guess is no right now, because remember, it's also competing with Dune 3 that came out, and then Jumanji, or that comes out that same weekend. Jumanji comes out a weekend later, plus the Christmas movies. I'm gonna say it has a harder path to getting to 2 billion than Spider-Man Brand New Day.
And here's what I will say about that too, is that this Avengers movie, like, we still don't know a lot about it, right? Like, we just know what we've seen in the trailers, and there's rumors abound about this movie, right? Like, I just read one last night saying that, like, the Sony Rogues gallery is going to be featured in Doomsday with Tobey Maguire, and it's hard to say.
Or Secret Wars would be my guess.
Secret Wars, yeah. But everyone, there's so much speculation about who is still involved in this movie that we don't know. We really don't know. And what we've seen in the trailer is they're all heroes from some of like the weakest performing Marvel movies, right? So does that mean how many people have seen the movies that are going to make this movie worth watching? So that's where I wonder, it's not going to do as well as Endgame in my opinion. I could be wrong. I could be eating a shoe when that comes out, but it's hard to say. I think that Spider-Man is probably definitely going to be the more box office dominating one. Not to say Doomsday is not going to cross $1 billion. I think that it will, but I just don't think it's going to have the same legs as Spider-Man does.
I just think there's a lot of things working against it, as far as it's got to have super long legs, which Marvel movies don't always have. But Avengers, putting Avengers moving at the end of the year, I just still coming to grips with it. Why it's not in the first weekend of May? Personally, I just don't get it. I really don't get what they're doing there with that. But again, they're stubborn. They won't move a week up to get an exclusive week of IMAX theaters. They won't do that, even though it's right there on a silver platter for them. They won't do that. They still want to do it on the 18th, the same weekend Dune 3 is coming out. And that's going to take a hit. Some people are going to actually choose Dune 3 with all the IMAX screens over Avengers Doomsday with whatever the Infinity Vision or whatever that Disney wants to call it. And then you've got, again, the Christmas movies coming up the next weekend, along with Jumanji, which got pushed back, which I think also is one of the dumbest moves of the year. Why you would push it back to a week after is just going to get swallowed up, but it's still going to take a little bit out of the bite of Doomsday. And I just think it has a harder climb to success and a harder path to success to it, Josh. But that's my thought. Yeah,
I have a theory.
Okay, go ahead, my friend.
I think that this is because they're between Doomsday and Secret Wars. I think there's plans to release something that is going to tie the two together, and they don't want to overcrowd the schedule. I know Kevin Feige's been real big on quality over quantity. So I think much like Captain Marvel was the connective tissue, I guess, is weird as that is, between Infinity War and Endgame, I think there's something coming out in between that is yet unannounced. I think that's coming out in between Doomsday and Secret Wars. That's going to really bridge these two stories together.
So let me ask you this. Two things I wanted to ask you. One about the setup between this, and you had a chance to set up and help out Avengers Doomsday, and I don't think it really did much of that.
No.
But the second thing is some of the loose plot threads that it didn't finish tying up. Again, Daniel Cretton did an outstanding job of directing this film. Was given a tall task. He had to navigate through a lot of different parts of this film, as far as, you know, he had to tell a lot of stories, he had to tell a lot of characters, introduce, and also, you know, try to expand and flesh out some characters, a lot of characters, for and perhaps, and plus also establish characters like the Hulk and you know, Elena Belova, and you know, other characters, as far as bringing them out there to life, and you know, damage control and all that. So with that said, all this on his plate, plus, like Craig said, still talk about the internal battles between Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and the issues that he had to deal with. They did a great job of trying to tell a lot of these stories, but I tell you, some of the things I could miss, like you said, the MJ part at the end, I think it left a little off the plate there. Hulk, I think it tried to tidy up into a corner and just move it off to the side rather quickly. And you know, some little things like that. But like I said, there was so much for Daniel Cretton to do, and he did a great job of most of it. Even though, again, that's the part where I would really say the most is that it really just didn't finish tying up all the shoelaces.
Yeah, I agree. So I definitely agree with you with the Hulk. Like, that was it. The way they treated the Hulk. The Hulk has become a patsy for everybody in the MCU. Like, he appears in all these different things, and he's really just a plot device. Like, he doesn't. There's not really any reason for him to be there besides, like, how do I. What do they in the world of literature, they call it like a deus ex machina, right? It's like an unexplainable solution to an unfixable problem. Like, he comes out of nowhere, and then they don't know what to do with him afterwards. Like, oh, he solved this issue we were having, but now what are we going to do? Just have him fall out of a building? Like, they really did him wrong in that movie. Like, they need to, like, it doesn't make sense how he could go from that to you know, from how he appeared in She-Hulk to what he is now. Like, why is he not in like human Hulk form or whatever? Like, there's just so many. He's, like I said, he's just become like a cheap plot device, and like that really bothers me. And yeah, and the thing with damage control is weird too, because like, what's the motivation? Like, what was their motivation for doing what they were doing? Like, there was no really explanation for why that guy had gone so far off the deep end with Jean Grey. Like, that really
Trammell Tillman, by the way, Trammell Tillman from Severance, and he plays the kind of character that he does in Severance, but he does it much better in Severance. And as far as a guy that you think is going to be a nice guy to deal with and whatnot, and is doing nefarious things. And I don't know why they wanted to bring in damage control as a baddie. I think that was also maybe a part that wasn't necessarily needed 100%, but I guess giving the motivations for Jean Grey and her future with the X-Men, I think that's, if you can say that, that's what damage control will do in creating the X-Men versus human dynamic, as far as that's concerned. Maybe that's where it will originate from.
Yeah, and you know, the biggest like WTF in that movie was the hand. Like, the way the comic books have written the stories of the hand, and the way, even like with Daredevil, like how the hand has been portrayed in Daredevil, like, does not match at all with how the hand was portrayed in Spider-Man. Like, they would never ever work for a government organization. They're like, that's the complete opposite of like what they stand for. So that I think that was also just a plot device used to make some cool scenes, you know, like, oh, it'd be cool to have Spider-Man fighting the hand, you know, that would be real neat. And that was just it that didn't make any sense to me. And that's not to detract from the rest of the movie. I thought the movie was great, even with these things in there that I didn't like about it. But it was just still like there's just things in there that didn't make sense. Like they were taking things and using it just to push another storyline, and that's something that Spider-Man has notoriously suffered from. You know, that whole like, oh hey, let's set up for the next movie. But you know, they did it well in this one as opposed to how, you know, it's been done in Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the Tobey Maguire movies and things like that.
So absolutely, just again, although we want to go ahead and stress how well it's done, almost $1.7 billion when all is said and done and the dust settles from its second weekend at the box office. It's still on a trajectory like few other films had, but Spider-Man Brand New Day, a really good film. Josh liked it. I can say unequivocally, your favorite Spider-Man film, you said?
No, second favorite. I still think No Way Home was the best.
Of the Tom Holland films. I'll just put it
Yeah.
that way. Yes. Craig said, I like the way that they reintroduce new characters into Marvel. Yeah, actually, absolutely. They did do a job of introducing. Now, whether or not Cretton was able to give enough time to the characters that were introduced, what, you know, as far as concerned, I'll leave that up to interpretation. But for instance, like you said, with for every the hand, they did a good job with Jean Grey as far as being able to tell her story, because that happened to be the last part of the film. The last full segment of the film was devoted to developing her character and obviously the birth of the X-Men in the MCU.
Let me ask you a question, and Craig, you can chime in on this if you want to, but like, was it just me, or was that scene with when they're in Peter's head, right? And Jean Grey just talks to Peter's aunt, and then you have that scene where they're on the bed, and Peter was like, "Well, you have me." Did it create some like weird romantic tension with you? Like it almost like uncomfortable. At that
Almost
part?
uncomfortable. Yeah, it did, but, you know, I don't think there's anything there. They're gonna keep anything as far as I think they're just gonna drop that any potential for that like a bad habit,
It
'cause,
just yeah, it was just strange to me, you know, like after all this like MJ stuff, you're like, "Oh, is this like a rebound or like what what's happening here?"
exactly. So, but yeah, I don't think if they meant to do it, I don't think maybe they kind of like slightly introduced that just to get people talking, but I don't think there's anything gonna be sustainable on that because of, you know, just the fact that you know, the X-Men are gonna go a certain way and, you know, with Tom Holland at this stage of his career, outside of a Secret Wars, I don't know many, outside projects he's gonna do outside of the Spider-Mans he's gonna do to fill up his agreements. So I don't think it's gonna go anywhere as far as it's concerned.
Yeah. How many movies? Sorry, I was wondering how many movies does Tom Holland have left on his Marvel contract?
Good question. I don't know if he re-upped before this contract. I think he had to re-up before this contract, you know, before this movie. So with that said, I just think that he's what 30 now. He's
Yeah.
talked about with his, you know, latest press tour about eventually turning it over. But the problem is now you make it harder for yourself because he's so adaptable. The one thing, whether or not you say he's the best Spider-Man or not, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, whatnot, whether or not you say he's the best of all the Spider-Mans, I'll leave that up to your interpretation. I can just tell you for the fact that he is the easily translatable to a worldwide audience. The fact that like Craig said, that you're every going back to the neighborhood for this film really resonates with a lot of people, and they didn't make it a whole big wine like you said earlier, small potatoes, big potatoes, like Yelena Belova said. And with doing that, I think it creates a situation where you're making it harder for Tom Holland to walk away. At some point in time, he's going to give the mantle to a Miles Morales. But the thing is, you know, with how successful it's doing and the fact he is still only 30 years old,
Yeah.
you know, what is Sony going to keep doing? How many Brinks trucks are they going to keep on backing up? And at what point does Tom Holland say, you know what, I think I've had enough?
Yeah. 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 And you know, Craig asked, you know, he will his character age? Yeah, I'm sure he will. I think that this is like
He's in
what
college right now, so
yeah. What I would love to see them do is like do, you know, have him do I hope he shows up in the 2 Avenger movies coming out. But like, I would love to see them do
I think
like.
he'll show up in Secret Wars. I don't think he'll show up in this one.
Yeah. Dude, there's still. I have a feeling there's still so much they're not telling us about Doomsday. Like and I think that's good. I hope there's a lot of surprises.
Yeah,
But
but they didn't set it up though very well. That's the one thing that they didn't do very well, is to set up outside of big potatoes. They really didn't set up Doomsday very well when they had a chance. I mean, advertising
no.
Doomsday to some extent in this latest film of Spider-Man would have been a nice thing to do, because you've got this movie's going to reach over $2 billion. So it's going to reach a worldwide audience. No better place to advertise or help set up what's going to go on in December, with a showing from Spider-Man Brand New Day, or at least a part
Yeah.
of what the Brand New Day is all about.
Yeah. It's interesting because going in space. I'm assuming the Spider-Man's gonna be the Battle World storyline, right? With that Secret Wars is known for, where like all the universes are fighting for dominance on this one planet because the timelines are all collapsing. So they're fighting to see like who's going to be the timeline that lives on. And they actually just that's how they ended the Ultimates universe too, with another trip to Battle World. But yeah, I mean it'll be interesting. I hope, but it's hard to say.
Craig says he's in top 3 for brains. Absolutely, as far as how Spider-Man. Again, I would bet money on him in Secret Wars, but I'm just have a feeling they would have advertised him for Avengers Doomsday already. But
Yeah.
maybe I digress on that. But
He's also a bad secret keeper, so they might not have told him, or they might not have. Like, they're probably gonna bring him in, or like, these are your shots, all right, and it's gonna be like a week before the movie comes out.
There you go, absolutely, because like you said, he's the worst at keeping secrets, indeed. But it is Spider-Man Brand New Day again. By this time next week, it'll be over $2 billion. A universal success at the box office, and Sony is probably thrilled, and Marvel is thrilled galore as far as just the huge worldwide success of Spider-Man Brand New Day. And if you have thoughts like Craig and Alan and everybody else that was able to go ahead and interject their thoughts, please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, writing off the success of superhero movies and showing that it's not entirely superhero fatigue that's out there, although there is quite a bit of it. This weekend, as far as streaming is concerned, Reacher, again, Amazon is just gonna love Reacher. I mean, Alan Richardson has found a home. He's found success, and despite all the other movies that he makes, that he puts out there that seemingly come and go, the one thing he has done really well is the Reacher character for Amazon. That is a huge hit for Amazon that comes out. Tires this week comes out with a new season on Netflix. That's something that I think Shane Gillis, if you're into his type of comedy, that has come out and actually been a very good success. It's actually a very cost-effective series to make if you see the sets and the layups and the layouts and things like that. So if you're into that comes up Netflix. But it's Lanterns. We're going to go HBO Max here for a little bit with Lanterns and House of the Dragon. But Lanterns, your thoughts on Lanterns? A lot of pressure, my friend, I think, is on this show to succeed, to be thought of well, because after the failure of Supergirl, and again, last year we said Superman, people were praising it, how well it did and whatnot. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Josh's movies, Man of Steel and the Snyderverse, there's 3 Snyderverse movies that did, I think, better, even before inflation, than Superman last year. But I digress on that. So I'll just say this, that again, coming off the failure of Supergirl and what we are not expecting from Clayface, I think a lot of pressure now is on Lanterns to be a successful series for the DCEU.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. I mean, okay, so you were asking what so Man of Steel made about 670 million. Batman v Superman made about 873 million. Those aren't like I think the new Superman made like 700 million. So it's not, it wasn't a a failure, but it wasn't like great. You know, it wasn't. I don't think it was what they were hoping from like a mainstay superhero movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, from what I'm reading about the whole James Gunn situation, and this is just people who like claim to have inside knowledge. It sounds like they're dude, Smallville was amazing, but it sounds like they are having trouble. James Gunn is having trouble. Like he doesn't know his vision for where this universe is going does not necessarily align with like making money. You know, like this is what I want to see, you know, and I just don't. James Gunn is strange, you know, not to say he's not a good filmmaker. He's just weird, you know, and like I just don't think that I don't think he's the person to headline this entire thing. I think he's definitely someone to make movies for it, but I don't think he was the right choice to headline this, you know, especially like putting out Supergirl, putting out Clayface, all really weird decisions. I don't know how much input he has in Lanterns. His Lanterns actually looks cool, you know, and I'm
When was
excited.
Lanterns, really started production? Did that start in the Snyderverse or did
It
it
was
start?
before. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was in the Snyderverse originally, and now it's been moved into this one. But yeah, I mean, this is like, um, I'm curious how the tone's going to be compared to some of these other movies. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited to see Lanterns. I'm not. I really have no interest right now in the DC universe as far as like movies go. Like I didn't see Supergirl. I know I'll probably watch it when it hits streaming, streaming for free. I don't want to pay for it, but it's like, and I have zero desire to watch Clayface. I don't want to watch Clayface at all.
I hear you on that one. So again, coming off of House of Dragons, which just finished with again, it's a battle royal. That's the best way to say it, Craig. A battle royal ending, as far as that's concerned. Yeah, it was wild. It was wild as far as what went on in that show. But then again, it's no less Game of Thrones ish. But it really, I think, rebounded. Very well in this season 3. It was starting to kind of drift in season 2, but season 3 has brought it back. And the Battle of Tumbleton, I think a lot of people will be talking about for a while. But like you said, if it's not coming out until 2028, we'll see what kind of momentum it's able to keep. But season 3, I think it did a great job in doing so. But one last thing on Lanterns, for HBO Max, does it have a lot of pressure now to succeed based on what has not succeeded so far in the DCU? And I agree with you, by the way, on James Gunn. Maybe when he planned that out and mapped that out and announced that out, I didn't think that was good from the start, and it's proving to be the case.
Yeah, you know, and much like Joss Whedon was basically the nail in the coffin of the Snyderverse, I think that James Gunn might be like if Man of Tomorrow does not do well, I think that James Gunn is probably going to end up being out out at DC there.
I agree. I agree. But any thoughts on Game of Thrones and season 3 and what we could expect in season 4? I mean, Game of Thrones coming off this, I think it's really got a lot of momentum, especially for all the spin-offs and all the future that they have for the Game of Thrones series, despite George R.R. Martin's, I guess,
Yeah, that was sad, man.
battles.
That was a sad post. Yeah, that was a sad thing he did or he said, but and I feel bad for him. But I mean, it sounds like in the last like what 10, 15 years, he's really gotten to like live his dreams. I think that's cool. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I love House of the Dragons. Like I think it's amazing. I think that it's better than Game of Thrones. You know, I will say because there's been like consistently cool stuff happening across every episode, whereas like Game of Thrones is like has a lot of episodes basically like Dragon Ball or One Piece episodes, right? Where it's really just like people screaming or people just like talking about nothing that really matters, right? Like this has been the pacing of House of the Dragons has been fantastic, whereas like Game of Thrones has almost entire episodes where people are doing nothing. And I think that this definitely works better in its favor, but it's all like, is it all a wash? Because like Game of Thrones had like a really just terrible ending, man. Like does it make any prequel series like a wash, until they make a sequel of some kind? Or I don't know, man. Like what's the bigger picture here for this whole entire franchise?
Exactly. I can't even tell you. And I don't even know where it's going to go. And again, they have all these spin-offs and things planned for the Game of Thrones universe, and people are eating it up. But I can agree with you so far to an extent, because remember, Game of Thrones went, what, 7, 8 seasons? And of course, you and I are famous for this show, what we did on the how it ended. It did not end on the right note for us. And
No.
we on that Monday morning kind of really, or was it Sunday night? Or anyways, kind of shared our thoughts on that. You were really it's one of those times where I really start to see a little tinge of anger from you. And I was like, oh, watch out.
It was frustrating, like I don't know if I was like super mad. I was just frustrated, because it's like this was the big thing. You can't undo that. It's been done, like unless we're gonna go back and do a reboot of the entire series, which I don't think anybody wants. I think just like a reboot of the last season and a half would be fine. But yeah, man, it was just super frustrating.
Talk
And
about not sticking.
I know there are people. Well, yeah, exactly. And I know there are people out there who are like, oh, well, I liked it. The same people that like movies where it's like, oh, the character was dreaming the whole time, but it's like I don't
or
know,
lost when they were all dead. So.
Yeah, it was so meta. That's not what we want, man. I don't think that's what George R. R. Martin even said, that that's not how the books are going to end, and we might never even know how the books end at this rate. So who knows?
Who knows, indeed. But if you have thoughts on House of the Dragon and the finale, again, they know how to go all out as far as is concerned, and we haven't dealt with zombies yet, so that part of it, I guess, is pretty cool. So again, just the battles between the families and the battle that you see there in Battle of Tumbleton, go ahead and check it out. And if you have thoughts on the finale for season 3 of House of the Dragon, please let us know, because again, it looks like the train that is Game of Thrones is not going to slow down anytime soon. But before we head on out, my friend, still a little bit more to talk about. One last thing as far as streaming is concerned, I want to go ahead and touch on the Amazon series God of War is currently underway in production. And there was a major injury to the lead star, which necessitated, instead of just, you know what, maybe we should shut down production and wait for Josh Hurst, right? Hurst?
Ryan Hurst.
Ryan Hurst. Yeah, Ryan Hurst. It's early in the morning for me. I apologize. Ryan Hurst he got injured, and you'd think you just shut down, but obviously he's not high enough on the star food chain that Amazon said, you know what, we should make sure we keep him out there, wait until he comes back, good to go after that. No.
Recasted him.
Like what's her name for the Tomb Raider series? She got hurt, and they just stopped production, and they started up again. Yeah, so Sophie Turner. So they thought, it's okay, but for Ryan Hurst, no. So what do? They cast Dave Bautista in the role of Kratos. Now, I think personally that even though people are saying, well, he doesn't look as much like Kratos as Ryan Hurst did. You know what? I'm okay with that, because no one can get angry like Dave Bautista.
Yeah, it's so it would have been 9 months they would have had to wait for Ryan Hurst to get better, and even at the end of that, there was no guarantee that he was going to be back up to speed. Without physical therapy could have taken longer, but yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm not going to make any judgments till I see it, but I just I don't have. Dave Bautista is not the person that I would get to play Kratos.
Really? Because I don't think it's much of a stretch him playing angry, if you remember his roles in Dune.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I thought he was great in Dune. I thought he was even though he's only in it for a few minutes, I thought him in Blade Runner 2049 was absolutely amazing. But
yes.
I'm just I'm curious. To me, it's the voice. It's the Kratos voice. I just don't think Dave Bautista can do it. But again, I'm gonna hold off any judgment until I see it happen. And so I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm still excited to see God of War thing happen. I know they're also recasting the kid for the next season, because he, there's a big growth spurt happened between God of War 1 and God of War Ragnarok, and I don't think the kid is on schedule to meet that growth spurt. So I think I'm pretty sure they're recasting him too.
Yeah, but we'll definitely see what happens. I'm curious to see it, but again, I do know that Dave Bautista can get pretty angry. So I'm a little bit higher on it than you are, because as far as what he has done and what he can do and what he can bring to that character, I still would have loved him in a Gears of War series. I think he would have loved that, playing Marcus
Oh
Phoenix.
my gosh, yeah.
We'll talk about Gears of War here in a second. Go ahead, my friend.
You know what's funny is Dave Bautista had said that he does not plan to like yoke up for any more movies again. He says he's just not, that's not the type of roles he wants anymore. But now playing Kratos, he's going to have to, like, he's going to have to beef up again. Yeah.
Nothing like that Amazon money to give you that
I was
incentive.
going to say, just how many zeros, man? Tell me.
Absolutely. Must have liked him in that movie with him and Momoa in Hawaii movie that came out earlier this year.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yep.
It actually did pretty good according to the ratings. So Craig said Driving by Bus has an advertisement of Odyssey on it. And I could just say the Odyssey is fantastic. I'm going later this month to see it in 70 millimeter IMAX, which I wanted to see in the first place, but it was broken on the day that we were supposed to go. But we are looking forward to it. And again, I highly recommend the Odyssey. It's my favorite movie of the year so far, and I'll leave it at that. But if you have thoughts out there on Dave Bautista playing Kratos, the House of the Dragon, anything going on with Lanterns this week, your initial thoughts on that, or if something like Tires season 3, or also as well Reacher season 4, please let us know. What's going on in the world of streaming for you? Please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But before we head on out, my friend, I tried the Gears of War E-Day multiplayer beta. I had some good time with it. It was actually very functional. I liked it. It had a lot of good features I like. I still got owned again because I still refuse to play with the shotgun, which is to my detriment, and I know it's to my detriment. But your thoughts on Gears of War E-Day, and then also we'll get into Halo here in a second before we head on out.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Actually, I started to get the install going yesterday, but yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it. I've watched video of it. It looks cool. What's funny with Gears of War E-Day is as the betas come out and more like information on the games come out, Cliff Bleszinski has been very active on social media about like. And it's not necessarily, he's not like throwing shade at the franchise or anything. He's just talking about how like the vision when he originally created those games was like the future direction of it was a lot more different. And he eventually got like outed from his own creation because people had different ideas on where the story should go, and that's where it ultimately ended up going. And now like it ended up going in a direction where they like can't really fix it. So I mean, makes you wonder, like, if Cliff had stayed in charge of Gears, not try to do all these other projects that didn't do so well, like what would the franchise
or all
look
the
like?
Drinking that he got into. He talked about his substance abuse and things of that
Mhm.
nature, and the price of fame. And I'll just remember my time. I think it
Yeah.
was 2010 or was it 2011? I don't know. I forget which year it was. E3, when he walked by us and he had whatever young lady with a mink coat in hand and arm
That's
in arm.
right.
And I told this story before where he walked by us, on both sides. We just had nerds both on both sides, us nerds, and we were just sit there tired from a full day of going. And here he comes with his big old smile, looking like the Cheshire cat. And you're just thinking to yourself, he is at the highest of highs at that point in
He's
time in his
made
life.
it.
Yeah.
He's
So
made it.
I'll let you think of that what you will. And he's talked about that recently, about his troubles from that era and the excesses and what it cost him, and wants to get back in the industry, and we'll see if he does. His last foray into video game making wasn't exactly a good one, so we'll see what happens.
Lawbreakers, right? That was the last thing he made. I remember we were there when they unveiled that game. Like I think you and I went to that booth, and like it was that game was an absolute disaster. Like I don't know why he decided to do that. I think that was the end of his video game making career at that point. So
it was indeed. But speaking of video games, before we head on out, you wanted to talk about Halo Campaign Evolved. I played the new levels,
Yeah.
so I wanted to really touch on that as far as what was added in there to the existing. It is like it's in a compartment of itself. It's its own prequel to what takes place in Halo Campaign Evolved. I played through it, and it's there, and it has a
Yeah.
lot of the same faults that the older levels have, and the repetitiveness. And I breezed through it in about I'd say 2 hours. But your thoughts, my friend, on Halo Campaign Evolved?
So one, I want to talk about there's like there's a big controversy going around online, right? Like how you can't like shoot the women soldiers in the Pillar of Autumn. What kind of sick mind would do something like that? Like where does that experiment even, like, what goes through your mind? Like, oh man, I'm gonna see if I can, take care of the different genders in Pillar of Autumn. Just play the game, guys. Like, this is all stupid. Have you seen that? You see all that stuff online going on? Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, anyways, the what do you call it? The prequel levels, right? Like,
Yes.
this is so in the original Halo, right? And playing through Campaign Evolved, that kind of like brought all these memories back too, is the fact that like you didn't have areas where there's like waves and waves of people coming after you. You had a couple spots like that in the original game, but for the most part, you were fighting people as you were moving forward. Like, motion was always forward. And in the Campaign Evolve levels, what it's suffering from is the same thing that Halo 4, Halo 5, and to some extent Halo Infinite suffered from. It's like you're not moving anywhere. You're just trapped in big rooms while waves and waves of people come after you. Like, that's not fun. That's boring. Like, that's I look at these prequel levels, there's no story to it. It's just like it's hordes, but with like objectives, like it's worries me. It worries me for what could be next.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And again, what Halo Studios is going to do, I don't know. But I just don't. I'm not excited for it anymore. I'm not excited for it anymore, and that's something that they have to create, and they have to get us back involved in when it comes to Master Chief and Halo. But yeah, again, what I played was there. They really had a chance to make things something special and make something good and refine it and make it something more adaptable to newer audiences, and also incorporate more Sergeant Johnson, who is seemingly everybody's favorite Halo character. Mine, for instance, I absolutely love Sergeant Johnson. The uh, book that was made for that was based off a lot of him and what he did. I forget what it's called. It's where they have the destruction of the planet. That forgot.
The Fall of Reach, is that?
The Fall of Reach, yes, The Fall of Reach, which has a lot of Avery Johnson in it. I thought was outstanding. So again, just if you get a chance, from that aspect, they could have done a lot to check it out. But check it out if you can, as far as the prequel levels to Halo Campaign Evolved. But I just, again, for those, it's the way they constructed it was circa 2001, and I'm not sure they really adapted it for a modern audience.
No, people like, but this is the thing, like, what makes Halo special is not having waves and waves of enemies come after you while you're trapped in a room and can't like trigger a new checkpoint until every last grunt is dead. Like, it's Halo has rich lore and good storytelling, and that's what they need to get back to. Like, these games don't work. These infinite waves of bad guy games, they don't work. They're boring, they're repetitive, and there's no motivation to play them. And if you're like, oh, we need to get Halo back to a healthy place, this is not the right move forward. But I will say, like, in their defense, the Campaign Evolve looks beautiful. Like, it absolutely, the rebuilds of the original levels look absolutely like fantastic in themselves. So good work with that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I hope that there is a future to Halo that is not what I saw in those prequel levels.
Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. I think we're running out of time for an MCU review. We're going to have to put it on the shelf for a couple weeks. So please make a note of where we're at. So, and reason why I said a couple weeks is because next week is a special week. It's 10 years. 10 years on the dot for next week. It's our 10-year anniversary, my friend. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
Yeah, 2 seconds here. You're wearing your Rogue One shirt. Gareth Edwards, I guess, just stepped away this morning from the new Jurassic Park movie, and
Not a
I'm
surprise.
curious. Yeah, well, I'm curious, like if it's issues with him as a director or if it's the studio wanting to sell dinosaur toys. Because I think Gareth Edwards is a great filmmaker. I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but I've loved his movies.
Well, and obviously his influence with Andor speaks for itself.
Yeah, exactly.
So for
But
Josh the Great Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the pop culture cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself, and you, Craig, as well, and you, Alan, as well, and everybody watching, a great day.
Welcome to the pop culture cosmos.